Alright, if you don't like drawing attention in public, then I would probably stay away from this because you'll definitely catch some looks. This is the definition of a head turner. Hi everyone, Thao here. The idea behind the Z Fold 3 is simple. You get a smartphone that unfolds into a tablet. It's twice as thick and weighs more than a typical smartphone, but all in all, it's relatively portable for what it can do. I will say this, if you think your current smartphone is already heavy, then I would probably sit this one out. When it's folded like this, the outer display gives you that typical smartphone experience, except it's a little on the narrow side. Even though I have pretty small hands, the two-handed typing experience feels slightly awkward and just cramped. On the plus side, I discovered that the narrow shape of the phone made typing with one hand possible for me again. It's pretty much all I've been doing ever since. You could totally use the outer screen for everything, but let's be real, you're not buying this to use the outer display. You're buying this to use this one. It still boggles my mind every time I do that. A phone that turns into a tablet is not a feature that many phones can claim. When you open it, you get a really nice 7.6-inch display. To put things into perspective, the OG iPad mini came with a 7.9-inch display. Like all current foldables, this has a crease. In a perfect world, it wouldn't, but that's not possible right now. So the big question, is the crease a deal breaker? I personally don't think so, but like I've been telling everyone, you kind of have to see it in person to decide. Looking at it straight on, you won't notice it 90% of the time. But whether you can see it or not, you will definitely feel it every time you run your finger over it. The crease also picks up a lot of light and reflections when you're outside, which isn't ideal either. Even with all that, I can look past the crease because of how awesome it is to have access to a larger display whenever I want it. Is it necessary? No, I could totally live without it, but this is a luxury that is kind of hard to give up once you get used to it. It just opens up a whole new smartphone experience that you'll only understand once you try it. Personally, I usually stick to the outer display when I'm out during the day. It's perfectly fine for day-to-day stuff like Google Maps, messaging, surfing the web, and other typical smartphone stuff. But the moment I have some downtime, the big screen comes out to play. This takes lounging with your phone to another level. It really is nice being able to use some of my favorite apps on a larger screen. The majority of the Google and Samsung apps have optimized tablet-like layouts that take advantage of the larger display. Most third-party apps will just be rescaled versions of the phone app, but because the shape of the screen is more squarish, the apps actually look pretty good. The scaling isn't as outrageous as it is on most Android tablets. Twitter is the perfect example. I mean, just look at the difference. I absolutely love kicking back and chilling out with this larger display. The initial impression is that this must be an amazing device for watching stuff. But you know what? It's not perfect. The under-display camera is cool technology and better than a black dot, but it's still visible. Not a lot of content is shot in this aspect ratio either. So expect a lot of letterboxing, aka black bars. And the crease is actually more noticeable when you look at it off to the side, which means a great movie watching experience for you, not as great for those sharing your screen. To avoid the crease completely, I found myself using flex mode a lot to watch content. It's like having a built-in adjustable stand at all times. Most widescreen content fits almost perfectly in the top half of the display as well. You can also flip it and use the side without the under display camera to avoid that from getting in the way of your content too. Just to give you an idea in terms of battery life, I've been averaging around 5 hours of screen on time. On days when I'm using the inner display a lot, I'll get less than that. If I just stick to the outer display, I've seen it go for 6 hours plus. It also takes around an hour and a half to fully charge. The Z Fold 3 is also amazing for multitasking, thanks to the inner screen and tablet-like software that Samsung's built in. You know what's crazy? The tablet software experience here is actually better than what's currently on Samsung's top-end tablet, the Tablet 7 Plus. The biggest difference is the ability to pin a taskbar with your favorite apps. You can quickly switch apps just like you would on a computer. Check out how fluid that is. Having used the Tab S7 Plus a bunch, the multitasking can get a little jerky at times, but that's not an issue here. Setting up split screen, resizing windows, moving them around is a much more enjoyable and seamless experience. It's still not perfect, but it's way better. Huge props, because I really like what they've done with the multitasking on this phone. App pairs and app trios also make it so easy to pull up your favorite setups. Definitely one of my favorite Samsung features. For business, the screen isn't quite big enough where I would want to do all my work on it. I have paired a keyboard a couple of times to do some word processing and to knock out some emails. It can get the job done if this is your only option. One area where Samsung separates their Galaxy tabs from the Fold is that the tab can go into Dex mode right on the device. The Z Fold 3 can only launch Dex by plugging into a monitor. I kind of get it because this isn't the biggest screen, but it would have been nice to have the option anyways. Besides consuming content, another big reason why I'm drawn to tablets is for note-taking. I take a lot of them. The Z Fold 3 has S Pen support, but you need to buy one specifically made for the display, and Samsung's calling it the Fold Edition. Quick heads up though, you cannot use the S Pen on the outer display, which is a little disappointing. First of all, get a case because the camera bump means this thing doesn't sit flat. The writing experience itself is surprisingly good, but once again, you'll have to deal with the crease. I always take notes in landscape because in portrait, you're running across the crease with every single line. Using it like this, at least you can work around it. This may sound weird, but you could also try taking notes in flex mode, right on the bottom half, and use the top half as more of a viewing area. Sounds crazy, but don't knock it till you try it. Obviously, having a separate S Pen like this is nowhere near as convenient compared to what you get on the Galaxy Note line. But if you need something to take notes, fill out PDFs, or sign contracts, this will do the trick and offer a bigger display. You just need to find a creative way to store it. Most people I show this phone to are impressed, but their biggest concern is how durable is this thing? That's a fair concern, and at this point, I can't really say how well this will age. The screen protector they used seems durable enough. Writing on it and running my nails across it hasn't damaged or left any marks yet, so it's promising. What I will say is, if you're sold on the idea of a foldable, it's probably best to buy the insurance or extended warranty, just for that peace of mind.
Last year I thought about how things can come around just like that if everyone is here to celebrate one day. We have our ups and downs, but when there's love, there's always a way, and oh, this time.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Coming from a Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, the cameras on here are definitely a step down. This isn't Samsung's best camera hardware, and for a phone priced this high, I think most of us would like to have the best that Samsung's got to offer. Don't get me wrong though, the pictures and videos are great. It's typical Samsung processing that emphasizes brightness and punchy colors, which I must say does make pictures more attractive. Overall, solid cameras, just not blown away. So what's interesting is that while the Z Flip 3 helped me cut down on my smartphone usage, the Z Fold 3 is almost like doubling down on my smartphone usage. This large inner display is so inviting, and I find myself using the phone way more than usual, which, depending on what your goals are, could be a good thing or a bad thing. For that reason, I think I'm team Z Flip 3. Honestly, this is the most interesting and futuristic product I've tested in the past few years. As a small tablet, the crease isn't ideal, but I think they've nailed the experience. Being able to put a screen like this in your pocket is so cool. As a phone though, I find it slightly thick and a little cumbersome to carry around, but that's a trade-off you'd expect for a phone that you can literally unfold into a tablet. It's not for everyone, and the price is probably too steep for most people, but if you can afford it, this is also the most exciting phone that you can buy right now. It's just so badass. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'm out of here.